So I'm Sarah, and we're here doing the video for January, which is typography and clockwork, and we've got a creative here, Erin. So I'm super excited to be doing the video with someone and not just me. So Erin's a typographer and a graphic designer, and she's curated this kit and built it for you, and she's going to take you through some of the typography work in the first project, which is practicing your typography and then doing a typographic print to then transfer to the second project, which is the clock. So, take away.
Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to trace some letters first. So we've got our tracing sheet here. And what we're going to do is get all of our bits and pieces ready. And then we'll practice some tracing of our letters. So what I'd normally do is I'd have my little palette, and you'd put a little bit of ink in there. You don't need too much ink to start with. You can always add more or take some away. And then I'll just put in a little bit of water, but I think I might just use this brush. Or what will I do here? Because I don't want heaps of water.
Do you need a little dropper for that?
Yeah, do you have? We can probably double up. Yeah, why not?
Make sure that's empty. There you go.
So, we'll just add a little bit of water, and we can add more if we need it. But it just makes the ink run a little bit better, a little smoother to have a little bit of water. Because with my brush, it is a water brush, but I don't actually fill it with water because I find using it just by dabbing it into the little ink palette, it just runs smoother, and you can kind of dip, draw, whereas this can sometimes bubble and leak and you get splats that you don't want. So it's just a bit neater.
So you mixed 50-50 there?
About 50-50, yeah.
And I know that you carry around that jar with ink in it. Is that pre-mixed ink, or do you add
just ink?
Just ink?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a little jar and it's just ink, and then I'll just add water if I want to. Sometimes I don't add any water. It's really up to you and what you want the consistency to be and how dark you want the ink to be. I like it to be nice and dark and black. Yeah, so let's get started. So we might start with this one, do you think? Yep. Okay, just put that there. So we're just going to get a sheet of our tracing paper. I'm going to pop it over the top so that we can practice some letters, just get the hang of it.
So the prints that were provided are actually Erin's handwriting.
Yeah. You're going to learn how to write like me. Right, so we just start off with a few dabs, and then I just kind of put this here. Just I don't like it to be too wet because you can always add more, but you kind of can't take away, and if we put too much, it'll be really thick and messy. So all we're going to do is just trace over the letter like that. So will I do a few letters, and then we might practice a few of the same letter just to get the hang of it. So all you're doing is just following my guide as best you can. See if I can follow my own guide. And like I've said, the ink's totally up to you. Like, you can add more as you go. And, you know, if you have a little messy corner, just go back over it. You can't tell in the finished product. It's all about kind of just going with it and just seeing how it turns out and then tidying it up as you go.
That's great.
Thanks.
Wish that was my handwriting.
Well, it will be.
If I practice it enough.
If you practice.
And then I'll forge your signature.
Yeah. So we might just do this line, and then we'll just have a go at practicing the same letter a few times. Oh, see, like I mucked that up, but that's fine. Just go over it. You can't even tell.
So what you want to be thinking about, the finished product for this first project is a quote on some nicer paper that we've supplied. So you might want to think about what quote you want to do. We've decided that we're going to do "It's always coffee time," because it is.
It is.
You probably should have got some coffees.
You probably would have spilt it. Okay, so now we might just go over the same letter a few times. Really all you're doing is just practicing until you feel confident that you can go away and start lettering without the guide, which it doesn't matter how long that is.
Can you do some without the guide?
Yeah.
I believe in you.
Alright, it's a test.
Oh, can you do it? I like how you still look back at it though.
I do. Because I tend to change my letters all the time. And I just kind of do the letter that I like at the time. So I have very bipolar handwriting, I would say. It's always changing. It's always been like that.
But that makes a good typographer.
Yeah.
Means you can mix up your styles a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm trying to keep it the same as the template for today. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
But you guys can always copy my other writing if you want to.
So you've got about 8 sheets of tracing paper there that you can use to practice on. And we've also provided some nicer sheets that should take the ink a lot better. And these are your final piece sheets. So did you want to show them
beautiful
how
quote
to do the final piece?
Sure. Alright, so,
If you want.
yeah, that'd be great. I'll give that to you too. So, it's really up to you and how confident you feel. If you want to practice your quote that you've decided on, you know, by doing each letter from the tracing paper onto your tracing paper, that's totally fine. For me, I normally just kind of go hell for leather. But today we are going to trace out our quote first with pencil on our nice paper, and then we're going to go over it with ink. So, like Sarah said, we're doing it's always copy time. So I'll take up the whole thing like we've done on the clock.
Yeah, really use the space. Yeah, use the space.
So, I mean, we have a rubber, so it's not a big deal if we muck it up a little bit, because we can always rub it out and try it again.
That's it.
Keep forgetting the quote. I need more coffee, obviously.
Yeah.
And even though I'm tracing this out, I will say that the chances are high that I'll go a little bit off grid once I get the ink onto it. Not off grid, but it won't, I'm sure it won't end up exactly in line with my text, because I'm kind of a flamboyant writer. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. It's always copy time. Like I said too, like my letters constantly change, so you know, if you start to feel confident and you want to try a different F, if you don't like my F, go for it. This is just the way I like to do my Fs. So,
and the more you practice, the more
confident you'll get. Exactly. You want to have your own style at the end of the day, but this is just a good place to start to learn.
So clearly we're obsessed with coffee. You don't have to do this quote. You're more than welcome to. But we'd really encourage you to come up with your own, or do some research and find one.
Something that suits you. Coffee suits us.
Yes, and remember that it's going onto a clock. So it doesn't have to be time specific.
But a little pun's always fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've just put down the pencil outline for your quote, and we're just going to dab, and I'm just going to make sure we don't have too much ink. And we'll just start, see how we go. So this paper is going to soak up a lot more ink than the tracing paper, so just be really mindful of that. Because you don't want a super rough edge. Just looks kind of messy, unless that is what you want, and that's totally fine. Use less ink if you want that kind of look, but we're going to go with a nice clean look. And you can just kind of dab back on those little messy bits. That's the beauty of the black ink, like you can't really see where you start and stop. You can just tidy up little bits as you go, or you can tidy it up at the end.
And how do you know which parts to go thicker?
So I normally just kind of go with like how I would feel if I was writing, and so I always write on the same angle, and you'll see like you can just kind of naturally feel that when you come down here this would be thicker. So all you do to get that thicker line is you don't change the angle of your brush, you just push harder, and that actually like spreads the bristles out further on the brush, and if you put more pressure, it just naturally makes that line thicker. So you want to be pushing lighter on the skinnier lines, and then when you get to these, although that one's all skinny, but like I said, you can just go back, and like that naturally looks like it should be thicker there. So you just go back over it, and you can kind of really, you can go over it as many times as you need until you get that kind of finish that you really like. Looks good. Thanks. And it really doesn't matter if it's a little bit messy, or you know, your letters aren't all the same, like your A's are different, or you know, it's not on a neat line. You can really just kind of have it as not perfect as you want.
I guess that's how you get your style, isn't it?
Exactly. Like, perfection is definitely not my style. But if it's yours, then you know, you can definitely have it more perfect than mine.
Perfect. Well, do you want to stop there?
Sure.
And we might take you through the next project, which is the clock. So we've provided you with some wood. This is our prototype. This is not the actual wood you'll be getting. You'll have some MDF, and it'll be slightly thinner than this as well. So our clock mechanism doesn't fit fully through this one, unfortunately. What you'll do, you've been provided with some white paint. This is acrylic from Bunnings. It's an exterior paint, and it holds the ink the best. We did a lot of testing. We actually got the tester here, where we went through and tested what the best sealant would be for that ink to sit on it. So the best one was the exterior white paint. So you've got your paint here, you've got a thicker brush than this, and you'll be able to go, I suggest putting 2 coats on the wood first, and then it should be ready. You'll need to leave it dry for about 2 hours, and then it'll be ready to pencil on your quote that you've chosen. So you can see here that Erin's already penciled on her quote, and I might get you to start inking it on if that's okay.
I need to top up my ink a little bit, because if you just a bit, that paper did suck up quite a bit of ink, so I thought it would. So we'll just add kind of, I think the wood should be quite smooth, so it might not need as much ink, but better to have enough there. So grab your pen. Again, just make sure we don't have too much, because we don't want to make a mess. So not ever written on wood before. Oh, it's different. Very smooth. It's nice to write on.
If you end up doing your quote and you're not happy with it, good news is you've got enough paint there to just paint straight over the top again.
Definitely don't need as much ink with this. I think if you go a little bit lighter to start with, it's going to be better, because you don't, I could see there being too much ink.
Yeah. So once you've put your quote on there, leave it to dry. Ideally, you'd want to seal this. We tested sealants as well, and they all smudge the ink. So the best sealant we could get to work was a spray on. You can get them from art shops, and it's a spray finish. You can get matte or gloss. We can't send you the spray finish because we can't post spray bottles. So I suggest, if you want to finish it, or you think people are going to be touching this a lot, seal it. Otherwise, it'll be fine to be left unsealed if it's going up on a wall. You would assume people aren't going to put their fingers all over it.
They might love it so much they just want to take it down and look at it. I actually think you may need to go over this again. What do you think, Sarah?
I think so too. Would you let it dry first?
Yeah, definitely. I'd let it doesn't probably have to be like 100% dry,
yeah.
But yeah, I would say this definitely needs to be.
How long do you normally leave it dry for?
It's hard because I normally just kind of put my pages on my desk and leave them, and I'll probably come back to them like in the afternoon or the next day. But the ink does dry pretty quick, so you probably, probably don't need that long, honestly. Like this already all looks pretty dry.
From my experience, probably half an hour.
Yeah, I reckon half an hour would be fine.
So I'm not going to show you how to put the mechanism into this clock because obviously it's still dry, but while Erin's doing that, I will run you through what we've got here. The clock mechanism and the hands. So these are all the pieces we've got. Good work, Erin.
Beautiful.
Looks good. So with the mechanism, we're going to put the large black piece and a little washer. This is then going to go behind your clock. You're then going to put another washer in, so your wood's going to be sitting there, and you're going to tighten this onto your piece of wood. It's going to be sitting like that, and then we're going to put these together. Okay. And then you can see the pin fits perfectly. Go. The only thing missing is the battery. Again, we can't send batteries in the mail. We would have loved to have sent you the AA battery, but you'll just have to grab one and pop that in yourself. And then your clock is ready to hang. So thank you so much for helping.
No worries.
It's been amazing having you here.
I love it.
Yeah, we would love to see what you create. Don't forget to use the hashtag XOXkit for your chance to win next month's kit. Show us what you've done and share it with everyone. So thank you.